She stood there, her boots worn and broken, while her fellow cadets whispered and snickered behind her back. Every step felt heavier as the teasing grew louder. But just when she thought she would crumble under the ridicule, a commanding voice cut through the laughter. The sergeant major had arrived. One look, one step forward, and everything changed. Respect replaced mockery. This is not just a story about boots. It's a story about courage, honor, and the true spirit of the cadet. Watch as the sergeant major teaches everyone a lesson they'll never forget. The morning sun cast long shadows across the training ground, illuminating the rows of cadets standing at attention. Among them was a new cadet, a young woman whose worn and broken boots immediately caught the eyes of those around her. Each step she took seemed heavier than the last, the scuffed leather and frayed laces marking her as different, as someone who had faced hardship before even starting. Whispers began to ripple through the line, quiet at first, almost subtle, but steadily growing louder. Some cadets pointed, others smirked, and a few exchanged jokes at her expense. Despite the growing attention and the sting of embarrassment, she held her head high. She straightened her shoulders, fixed her gaze ahead, and reminded herself why she was here. Every cadet would face challenges, but it was courage, not appearance, that defined them. This was her first test, and she was determined not to let it break her spirit. The teasing grew bolder as the morning drill continued. Cadets who had been quietly whispering before now laughed openly, calling out comments about her broken boots and the way they looked so worn. Some mimicked her footsteps, exaggerating each step with mock seriousness, while others nudged each other, barely able to contain their amusement. She felt the weight of their stares pressing down on her, but she refused to respond with anger or embarrassment. Instead, she focused on her movements, following every command with precision, keeping her posture perfect and moving with discipline. Her determination was clear. She would not allow ridicule to define her. Around her, the laughter bounced across the training ground, echoing off the barracks walls, yet she kept moving. Each step was a quiet declaration of resilience. Even though the world seemed intent on mocking her, she remained unshaken, a testament to her inner strength and unwavering resolve. Just as the laughter reached its peak, a sharp, commanding whistle pierced the air. Immediately, the training ground fell silent. All cadets froze mid-step, their eyes instinctively snapping toward the source of authority. The sergeant major was approaching, his presence alone demanding respect. Every detail of his uniform was immaculate, every movement precise, as if the very air around him had shifted to match his discipline. The cadets who had been laughing moments ago straightened instinctively, standing taller, faces suddenly serious. Even the new cadet, who had felt the weight of humiliation, sensed a sudden shift in energy. The sergeant major's eyes scanned the line of cadets, stopping briefly on her worn boots. A hush fell over the group, heavier than the morning sun or the steady breeze. It was as though the teasing had been erased instantly. The sergeant major had arrived, and in his presence, the rules of respect and honor were absolute, leaving no room for mockery or distraction. The sergeant major stopped directly in front of the young cadet, his gaze unwavering and sharp. The smirking cadets who had been mocking her immediately looked down, shame replacing their earlier amusement. Silence stretched across the training ground as he took in the sight of her scuffed, broken boots, and then lifted his eyes to meet hers. There was no judgment in his expression, only acknowledgement of her courage for standing tall despite the ridicule. Slowly, he nodded, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. Then, in a voice both firm and commanding, he gave the order every cadet respected above all else, a full salute. The sound of synchronized salutes echoed through the ground, a powerful reminder that respect is earned through character and perseverance, not appearances. In that moment, the young cadet felt a surge of pride and validation. She realized that her determination had not gone unnoticed, and that true leadership recognizes courage, even in the smallest of gestures. The atmosphere on the training ground had shifted completely. Where there had once been laughter and ridicule, now there was a profound sense of respect. The cadets who had mocked her earlier stood silently, processing the lesson they had just witnessed. They realized that their behavior had been shallow, and that honor and discipline carried far more weight than superficial judgments. The young cadet herself felt a renewed sense of strength and determination. Every step she took now was imbued with pride, her posture taller, her confidence unwavering. The broken boots she had once feared would define her became a symbol of resilience, of enduring hardship without complaint. Around her, the cadence of drills continued, but the mockery had vanished. The sergeant major's intervention had made it clear. Courage and perseverance demand recognition, and any attempt to belittle such qualities is futile. That morning, a simple pair of worn boots had become a lesson in dignity and self-respect. From that moment on, the story of the young cadet and her broken boots became a lesson repeated throughout the barracks. In classrooms and training halls, instructors would reference her resilience as an example of true character. Cadets began to understand that mockery and superficial judgments hold no power against determination and integrity. The boots, once a source of embarrassment, transformed into a symbol of perseverance. Every scuff and frayed lace told a story of commitment, courage, and the will to endure. The cadet herself carried a quiet pride, knowing that her actions, simply standing tall and continuing forward, had left a lasting impression on everyone around her. This moment also highlighted a deeper truth, that leadership is not just about commands and discipline, but about recognizing and uplifting those who show courage in the face of adversity. The broken boots were no longer a flaw. They were a testament to strength and honor. The young cadet learned a profound lesson that day about the true nature of respect and leadership in military. She realized that mockery and judgment from peers are fleeting, but the acknowledgement of courage and integrity endures. The sergeant major's presence had demonstrated that a true leader sees beyond appearances and rewards perseverance and character. From that day forward, she carried herself differently, with a quiet confidence that no ridicule could shake. Her fellow cadets, too, had learned a powerful lesson, that belittling someone's struggles or differences only diminishes their own character. The training ground, once filled with laughter at her expense, had become a place of reflection and newfound respect. Every time she looked down at her worn boots, she was reminded that resilience and determination are far more important than outward appearances, and that true leadership protects, honors, and uplifts those who dare to stand tall in the face of adversity. From that day forward, her broken boots became more than just footwear. They became a symbol of courage, resilience, and unwavering determination. Every scuff, every frayed lace, told the story of a cadet who refused to be defined by mockery or doubt. She walked taller, not out of arrogance, but from the quiet pride of knowing she had endured and persevered. Her example inspired others, proving that true strength lies not in perfection, but in the ability to face challenges head-on and maintain dignity despite adversity. Even years later, when the training ground was empty and the barracks quiet, cadets would recall the lesson of the broken boots, a story passed down as a reminder that honor is earned through courage, integrity, and resilience. That single morning had transformed the way everyone saw courage, and her worn boots would forever stand as a testament to the spirit of perseverance and the enduring power of respect. Weeks passed, and the story of the cadet with the broken boots became legendary within the training facility. New recruits who had heard the tale approached their drills with renewed determination, inspired by her resilience. Even the cadets who had once mocked her now carried a quiet respect, often recalling her example during moments of doubt or fatigue. The sergeant major's lesson had left a permanent mark. True courage and honor could not be mocked, belittled, or diminished. The young cadet herself continued to excel, earning commendations not just for skill, but for the unwavering integrity she displayed in every challenge. Her boots, though still worn and patched, had become a symbol, a reminder that perseverance transforms hardship into strength. And in every drill, every salute, and every shared story, her legacy endured, inspiring future generations to rise above judgment and to stand tall no matter the odds. Months later, the cadet's journey had become more than a personal story. It had become a legend within the academy. She now moved with confidence that went beyond posture. It radiated from her determination, her discipline, and the respect she commanded from every cadet and instructor alike. The broken boots she had once feared would define her had been transformed into a symbol of triumph, resilience, and unyielding courage. Cadets who struggled with their own challenges looked to her example, finding inspiration in the way she had faced ridicule without faltering. Even the sergeant major would occasionally nod in acknowledgement as she walked past, a silent recognition of how far she had come. The training ground, once a place of mockery, now echoed with lessons of perseverance, dignity, and honor. Her story, immortalized in memory and in the hearts of everyone she touched, reminded all who heard it that true strength is measured not by perfection, but by the courage to rise, stand tall, and never give up, no matter the odds.